Hello and good evening, everyone. Please let me know in the chat if I'm audible and clear. Thank you, Siddharth. Thanks, Karthik. Right, so very short class today, guys. Just one single set. We will solve it and we will call it a day. We'll understand a few things about the set after we look at the solution. But hardly half an hour we'll be spending in today's class. I hope that all of you took the time to go through the PDF that was sent to you in the morning itself. If not, I'll give you about 5 minutes to read the set. Okay, so let people also join in. You take 5 minutes, you read the set which is present in front of you on the screen right here. Or if you want to go back to the PDF, you do that. And after 5 minutes, say at around 9:08, we will start discussing this set's solution. So read it carefully. Right. So hope all of you have read and gotten a good sense of understanding of this set. And I hope a lot of you have been able to solve this question also, or have tried to solve this question before the session. So if you have done that, then let's start discussing what the set is all about. So firstly, this is a kind of a set in which there is a task that needs to be completed. But to complete the task, there are several different sub-processes, and every sub-process takes a bit of time. And some sub-processes depend upon some other sub-processes to be completed. Only then they can be started. So that is precisely what is happening here. The restaurant is actually trying to create an entire dish of roast turkey with vegetable mash and cranberry sauce. And to prepare this dish, there is multiple different things or steps that needs to happen. Separately with respect to the turkey, separately with respect to the vegetables. Sometimes the products from the vegetables and the turkeys are being used to make the cranberry sauce. So some processes are dependent upon a few other, I would say, precursor processes, and some processes are successor processes that can only happen after the precursor is done with. Okay, and that is precisely what is given in the 5 clues here. That what should be the schedule of the processes, what needs to follow after what. So what we'll do in such kind of questions is that first we will try to form a process diagram or a network diagram. It's called a network diagram in supply chain management, but we can also call it a process diagram. And how we'll do it is, let's take these clues one by one. So let's take clue number 1 first separately. So clue number 1 says that the turkey has to be marinated before roasting and deboning it, which in turn has to be done before seasoning and sauteing it. So this should not be chicken. I'm very sorry. This should be turkey. That's a mistake on my part. This should be turkey. So the turkey should be marinated, and then it should be roasted and deboned, and then it should be seasoned and sorted. So this is what should be the sequence of the 3 processes that have been given to us in the first clue. Next, similarly, in the second clue, we have been given the 3 tasks with respect to the vegetables. So the veggies have to be prepped and cut first. Only after that, they should be boiled, and only after that, they can be mashed and seasoned. So this is the sequence of the 3 processes with respect to the veggies. And next, in the fourth clue, I'm going to skip over the third clue for now. I'm going to look at the fourth clue because the fourth clue is more important to look at first. Says that the vinaigrette needs the turkey bone and the vegetable stock. Hence, can only be made after the turkey has been deboned and the vegetables have been boiled. So we can only make the vinaigrette once the turkey has been roasted and deboned and after the veggies have been boiled. So only after this task is over can then the process flow into making of the vinaigrette. It is not dependent upon any of the remaining tasks, but only these 2 tasks. So I'm going to draw an arrow like this from roasting and deboning and boiling of vegetables as well. And then I'll go to the third clue, which says that the cranberry sauce requires the vinaigrette to be made first. So first you make the vinaigrette and then the cranberry sauce is going to be made. So that is going to be the sequence of these 2 tasks. And finally, the question says, or the last clue states, that plating will be done only after all the other processes are over. So plating depends upon everything else being over. So the seasoning and sorting of the turkey, the cranberry sauce being made, the mashing and seasoning of the veggies, all of these needs to be completed, and only then plating can be done. So this is the first thing that we have to do, that when there are multiple processes which lead to a common outcome, and some are dependent on previous processes, then we need to make this kind of a network diagram. Okay. Now, you must have noticed that when I'm making this network diagram, I'm also having a table above each and every process. Okay. So why is this table important? Because whenever we are doing a scheduling problem like this, it is very important to keep track of a few parameters. So let me show you that what all things we need to be keeping track of in this particular set, and what each of the cells in the table above the processes represent. So the anatomy of each and every table that is present in the previous network diagram is, at the bottom, of course, you have got the process that we are completing, which is maybe roasting and deboning of the turkey, or boiling the vegetables, or mashing and seasoning them. So the name of the process should be there. The time taken to complete each of the processes, which was given in the table of the set itself, is in the top left corner. Then on the top middle, we have got earliest start. So when can you at the earliest start the process? If let's say we are starting the entire dish, making of the entire dish from the 0th second, then at what minute or at what hour can we at the earliest start this particular process? That should be in the center. And what is the earliest we can finish the process when we are starting the entire task at 0 seconds? And what is the earliest we can finish it? That will be on the top right. Now on the bottom right, we have got something called latest finish. So what is the meaning of latest finish? Latest finish is that how late can this particular process finish and yet the entire dish will be prepared on the quickest possible time? So let's say that we have figured out that the entire dish can be prepared after 4 hours. Then what is the latest time that I can finish this particular process to still be able to finish preparing the entire dish in 4 hours? That is the time that we will be making a note of here. And similarly, latest start, that when should this process start the latest to still be able to finish the entire task at the earliest. And finally, we have got slack here. Slack is earliest start and latest start, the difference between these two. So, sorry. So when can you earliest start the particular process and when can you finish it? That is what is called slack. Okay. So these are the things that we will be making a note of. You can also do earliest start and earliest finish and latest finish. Can't be directly subtract at end for latest, end or start. So I'll show you the quickest way to do this process. Okay. So this is the anatomy of the table that we will follow. Now, how will we calculate these things? Let me show that to you. Okay. So I'm just keeping the table's anatomy on the top right corner for all of you to remember what we are recording in each of the cells in the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the first process, right? So the turkey marinade. And we know that this takes a total of 60 minutes. And of course, this process can start at the earliest, at the 0th minute, right? Immediately you start the turkey marination. So the earliest it can start is at the 0th minute. Immediately it can start. And it will finish when? The earliest it can finish if the entire task takes about 60 minutes. Then the earliest it can finish is at the 60th minute. Similarly, because veggies prepping and cutting does not have any kind of dependency on any of the remaining processes, and it can happen independent of the turkey as well. So it can also start on the 0th minute, and the earliest it can finish is on the 45th minute. Okay. Now, roasting and deboning can only be done after the turkey has been marinated. So tell me, what is the earliest start time that this can happen, that roasting and deboning can happen? From the 0th minute, at what minute can we earliest start roasting and deboning the turkey? I can even say 60th minute. So we don't have to go to 61. We can just say 60th minute because a minute has got a lot of seconds. So at the 60th minute, it can start at the earliest. And the earliest it can finish is in the 100th minute or on the 100th minute. Absolutely right. Right. This is how we finish up or figure out earliest start and earliest finish. So similarly, then this means that the boiling of vegetables can start at the earliest at the 45th minute, and the earliest it can finish is on the 95th minute. Now you tell me the making of the vinaigrette can start earliest when? When can we at the earliest start it? Absolutely right, Divya. Absolutely right, Siddharth. The earliest that we can start, absolutely right, Karthik, Silvi, I think Swaminathan, you're meaning to type 100, but yes, you're absolutely right, Shubham, Akshay, all of you. We can only start it at the 100th minute because even though at the 95th minute, the veggies have been boiled, but we cannot start making the vinaigrette until the turkey has been deboned. So we require the bones of the turkey, and that will only be available on the 100th minute, and on the 100th minute, both the dependencies will be done. So this can at the earliest start at the 100th minute, at the earliest it can finish at the 115th minute. Now, similarly, you can now fill out every other task, right? This can start earliest at the 100th minute as well, finish in the 110th minute. This can earliest start at the 115th minute and finish earliest at the 125th minute. And this can at the earliest start at the 95th minute and finish at the earliest at 115th minute. Now, so finally comes plating. Plating can only start once all the other processes have been done. Yes, Muskan, check the set. Last sentence. After all the clues, last sentence has been given that all the process can happen simultaneously. There is enough stuff to do the processes which can happen simultaneously. It's mentioned. Okay. Now, plating can only happen when all the processes are done. So plating will start earliest at the 125th minute. Absolutely right, Akshay. Why? Because this will only get over at the 110th minute. This will get over at the 115th minute. But cranberry sauce, we have to wait for before we can plate. So that can only happen in the 125th minute. So plating will get over on the 130th minute. So earliest that this entire dish we can finish preparing is in 130 minutes. And this way of figuring out earliest start and earliest finish is what we call a forward push. So we have done the forward push. Forward push means we start at the beginning and we go sequentially figuring out earliest start and earliest finish to the end. based on the time required for each and every process to be done. And like that, we figure out earliest start and earliest finish. Now, how do we figure out latest start and latest finish? So what we do for that is we do something called a backward push. So we have done a forward push. Now we will do a backward push. The backward push means you know that this is fixed. I have to finish the dish on the 130th minute. To achieve this, when is the latest that a process can finish and when is the latest that a process can start? Let's try to figure that out. So if the dish has to be finished on the 130th minute, then latest that the plating can finish is at the 130th minute, because with the plating, the dish is ready. So 130th minute, the plating has to finish, which means that the latest that the plating can start is 130 minus 5. 125th minute is the latest that the plating has to start. Similarly, cranberry sauce. If plating has to start at the 125th minute, cranberry sauce has to be ready by the 125th minute, which means cranberry sauce has to latest start at the 115th minute as well. But tell me, what is the latest that seasoning and sauteing can be finished for plating to happen on time? For the dish to be completed on time, seasoning and sauteing should finish by, absolutely right, Rajni, Acha, Rishika, everyone who's telling me 125 is absolutely right. Not 115, guys, 125. Why? Because even if the seasoning and sauteing finishes at the 125th minute, even then the plating can start on time and we can deliver the dish on the 130th minute. So latest that seasoning and sauteing can finish is on the 125th minute, which means that the latest that seasoning and sauteing can start is 125 minus 10, 115. It can start at 115. I think everyone else was talking about the start. It can start at 115. And by the same logic, the latest that mashing and seasoning of the veggies can finish is in the 125th minute, which means the latest that it can start is in the 105th minute. Like this, we move backward. Okay. So when we move backward, then vinaigrette has to be finished at the 115th minute, which means vinaigrette has to latest start by the 100th minute. Okay. Now, roasting and deboning. Now, this is interesting. Now, tell me, roasting and deboning of the turkey should finish latest by when? Roasting and deboning of the turkey should be finishing latest by when? So, Swaminathan, think carefully. Shri, think carefully. Soumya, Rishika, Aviral, Karthik, all of you are absolutely, everyone else is absolutely correct. Although seasoning and sauteing of turkey can start on the 115th minute, but vinaigrette also depends upon roasting and deboning, and the latest it can start, absolutely right, Shri, is in the 100th minute. So vinaigrette, Acha, has to latest finish, right? Has to latest finish by 115th. Only then cranberry sauce can start in time, in order for plating to happen in a fashion that the dish will finish at the 130th minute. We are doing backward push. Okay. But roasting and deboning has to be done before making the vinaigrette also begins. So although seasoning and sauteing can start at 115 minutes, but vinaigrette has to start in the or on the 100th minute, and vinaigrette requires the roasting and deboning to be done. So roasting and deboning has to latest finish by the 100th minute. Okay. So which means that the earliest it can, or the latest it can start is on the 60th minute, and going back, this will be 60 and this will be 0. Okay. Now similarly, let's come down to the lower part of the table. Again, the veggie is getting boiled, has to latest finish by the 100th minute, because only then making of the vinaigrette can start happening on time. So which means that latest the boiling of the veggies should be starting on the 50th minute. So this can be now 50 and this can be 5. So now we have figured out earliest start, earliest finish, latest start and latest finish. So remember, earliest start, earliest finish when you start looking at the processes in the forward direction. Latest start, latest finish can be achieved when we look at the process in the backward direction. It's called the backward push. Now, slack is very simple to calculate. Slack is difference in time between earliest start and latest start. So 0 here, 0 here, 15 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here. And here it is 10. Here it is 5. Here it is 5. So slack also we have been able to calculate. So with all of these calculated, this is the final set of tables that we have, and using this, you can solve all the questions. There's nothing else that is required to solve all of the questions. I will let you figure out using this table. You can figure out the answers of all of this. I'll tell you the options which are the correct answer. You can check the answers later on. But this is how you should be looking at solving a process-based question where multiple processes come together in order to produce a common output, such that some processes are dependent upon the previous processes. In fact, this is not even just a question of logical reasoning. This is a very core concept that all of you will be studying in your first 2 trimesters of your MBA course curriculum itself. This entire process of making this, mechanical engineers who have taken operations research should be aware of it, is called the critical path method. Absolutely right, Arika. So it's part of operations management and operations research. This is called critical path method. It is used till date in industries. Wherever you have got, say, a factory in which multiple processes are leading to forming a common product, or in supply chain management where multiple different items needs to come together in order to make the supply chain successful. So to understand that how much time is required for each and every process and what is the latest start and latest finish each can achieve, this is a network diagram that is still made. And question is often asked, especially to engineers, especially engineers from the background of civil, mechanical, and also people who have worked in the core industries, core technical industries, that what is critical path method? So what is critical path method is, it is the path from the start to the finish, which takes the longest amount of time. The biggest mistake that people make is that they say that the critical path is the path that takes the shortest amount of, that can take the shortest amount of time. No, critical path is the path that takes the longest amount of time. Or one more way of defining critical path is, the critical path is the path from start to finish in which all the processes in the path have a slack of 0. So why slack of 0 is a critical path? Because slack of 0 means there is 0 margin for error. There is no mistake that should happen in these processes. Otherwise, my delivery is going to get delayed. See, in this particular case, in this making of this particular dish, if the seasoning and sorting gets delayed by even 15 minutes, say the chef says that I'm going to go to the restroom and spends about 15 minutes in the restroom and then comes back to season and sorting, still the dish will be served to the customer on time. But if the vinaigrette is even 1 minute late, if the cranberry sauce is even 1 minute late, if the deboning is even 1 minute late, absolutely right, Prita, then the entire deliverables duration gets delayed. And then bottlenecks are created. So wherever this kind of process, say any of the processes where slack is 0, if it gets delayed by even a bit, then bottleneck is created there. Bottleneck means all the processes will stop there. That now your supply chain is not producing any kind of output because it is waiting for the delays in the making of vinaigrette to get over. So bottlenecks happen whenever slack is 0. So that's why these processes are critical processes that needs to be managed in a fashion that they are performed with 100% accuracy, with no compromise on quality or efficiency. So that's why the entire path that connects all the processes which have a slack of 0 is called the critical path. So there's one question which asks that if you have got really skilled chefs, right, then which of these processes should they ideally be employed in? So the most skilled people should be employed in these critical processes because they are the ones who will ensure that all the processes happen in time. A newer person can be put into non-critical processes. Yes, absolutely right, Prakash. So all that is getting into core operations, based terminology. We have got things like Slack, using which we can figure out the tolerance. But we'll not get into all of that at this point of time. But I want you to understand that whenever you have LRDS sets or LR sets in which processes and individual timings are given, and you have to figure out the total time of all the process coming together to form a common output, make the network diagram, and you will be able to figure out earliest start, earliest finish, latest start, latest finish by following this particular process. Quickly, the answers to this question. No, Sylvie, there is a critical path here. The critical path here. So, Disha, see, okay, let me still explain the longest time. See, from start to finish, if I take the path from chicken marinade to roasting and deboning, to making the vinaigrette, to cranberry sauce, to plating, this will take the longest amount of time to get from the start to the finish. But imagine if I take this path, chicken marinade to roasting and deboning, to seasoning and sorting, and to plating, I can finish this off 15 minutes earlier. The top path can get to the end product 15 minutes earlier. But chicken marinating, or sorry, turkey marinating, roasting and deboning, making of vinaigrette, cranberry sauce and plating will take 15 minutes longer. Similarly, the bottom process can finish off 10 minutes earlier. So the path which will take the longest time is called the critical path. Okay. There is a critical path here, Sylvie. So the critical path consists of turkey marinate, roasting and deboning, making vinaigrette, cranberry sauce, plating. That is the critical path. The path from the start to the finish, which connects all of the critical processes, which have zero slack. Okay. Right. So the answers to the 5 questions for this set are B, B, C, A, D. You can check this out later. In fact, I will just show you the PDF and I will tell you the answers. You can check whether you got this right or not. So first answer, you will get 130 minutes, which is equal to 2.167 hours. So make sure that fraction calculations and all are happening properly. Absolutely right, Rashmi. Question 2, which is the last process. So cranberry sauce gets completed only on the 125th minute. So that's the last process to be completed before plating. Third question, seasoning and sauteing of vegetables has got the maximum slack. It has got 15 minutes of slack, I think. So that's why C will be the answer to 3. Answer to question number 4 will be 340, because I think the latest that this particular process can start, the boiling of vegetables can start. You'll see the latest start is given as 50 minutes. So 50 to 130, 80 minutes before finish, it can start. So 80 minutes before 5 p.m. is 3:40 p.m. So answer for 4 will be A. And 5, of course, the answer will be D, because the making of the cranberry sauce and roasting and deboning the turkey are part of the critical path. So here is where the 2 most highly skilled chefs you will employ. Right. So these are the answers to the 5 questions of this set. Hope this was helpful. Remember this particular problem. How did I get 4? Okay, let me again explain. Okay, first read question number 4. If the dish has to be prepared and ready by 5 p.m., which means 5 p.m. is the 130th minute, then which of these times is the latest the chef can start boiling the vegetables? So latest start of boiling the vegetables. So if I look at this table again, latest start of boiling the vegetables should be happening in the 50th minute. So the 130th minute is 5 p.m. 50th minute is then what time? So 50th minute is 80 minutes before 130. So 80 minutes before 5 p.m. is 3:40 p.m. That is why the answer to question number 4 is 3:40. Okay. So Shri, as I said, slack is 0 for these processes, which means not even a single minute's delay should happen here. So the most skilled people need to be put into these processes where slack is 0, where there is no bandwidth for us to make any kind of mistakes or cause any kind of delays. So any 2 of these 5 processes, if it is present in an option, that will be the correct answer. That is where you will employ the most highly skilled chefs, and only one single option has 2 of these 5 processes, and that's why the answer to 5 is option D. Okay. So Shivaram, see, this is a very vague question. Okay, I have now taught you how to do a question like this. If you figure out that a particular set in the paper is absolutely similar to this one, and you know how to solve it, then pick it up and solve it. If you feel that no, it is slightly different from the question that we have solved, maybe I can solve it using the CPM method, but I'm not very sure. Leave it for later. Pick up something that you're more sure of. So do not pick up a set based on its genre. That's something that we have been maintaining from very day 1 of our LR classes. Okay. So I'll keep this video up, of course, on YouTube. Make sure that even everyone else who is going for an operations interview or coming from a technical background, especially mechanical engineers and civil engineers, or who has worked in any kind of manufacturing or supply chain industries, that you once watched this video to understand what's the critical path is. That way, if you're quizzed about it during the interview process as well, you'll be able to answer the questions. That's all that I wanted to communicate today. I said 30 minutes. I think I took about 30 minutes to finish the class. So thank you for coming. Hope this was helpful. And take care. We'll see you soon again for another session. Bye-bye.